Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are diving into the transfer race. We are diving into the few hours left to the closure of the transfer window. Today is a Tuesday. We take on Aston Villa tomorrow on Wednesday, and the window closes on a Thursday. Mikel Arteta has once again made himself very clear. He wants more signings. We are trying to get him more players, but it is not going to be that easy. But anyway, a couple of stories to dive into today. Fabrizio Romano saying that Edu is working to complete another deal before the window closes. We will be talking about Wilfred Zaha. Chelsea and Arsenal are the two clubs now leading the race to sign Wilfred Zaha. Crystal Palace will be tempted to sell if the player decides to push for a move. Tielemans, there is some simple boost because I've been reading a couple of reports around Leicester City. And they are suggesting, especially Sky Sport, they're suggesting that Leicester City are on the verge of signing Schalke 04 midfielder this summer. And probably that means that they're thinking in the last hours of the transfer window, they could be losing Tielemans. We'll talk about an offer for Mikhailo Mudryk that is in the pipeline. Arsenal trying to work on that deal as well. We are hearing rumors of Arsenal going for another midfielder that will not be Tielemans should Leicester City refuse to lower their asking price. And we are also talking Marco Asensio and George Mendes this morning. So a lot to dive into, a lot to talk about in this video. Do one thing, just sit down, hit the like button. Let's get this video to 1,000 likes. Subscribe to the podcast as well. We're very close to 58,000 subscribers, and the goal is to reach our first 100,000 subscribers. So please make sure all those beautiful things are done. In the comment section below, we are left with a few hours to the closure of the transfer window. I'm still asking you to predict that one signing that you think will come through. Now, a winger is now a priority. A midfielder is also a priority as things stand. But I'm going to say I want to tilt towards a winger, right? I want to tilt towards a winger. But Tielemans being a priority since January, I don't want to get it wrong. So I'm going to predict Tielemans as the late deal that Arsenal accomplished. I'm going to predict Tielemans as our late deal this window. But of course, your predictions, it's pure amusement. Don't go with logic. Just go with your instinct. I've gone with my instinct when I've gone with Tielemans. I feel it's a deal that is in the pipeline. I honestly feel that the feeling I have since June has not gone away. Tielemans, purely instinctive, but I feel Arsenal will get this one over the line. Let's wait and see. 1,000 likes on this one. So let's start off with Fabrizio Romano, who has given us another another phase of hope as Arsenal fans. He said Edu at the moment with Mikel Arteta, it's difficult. It is very, very difficult because you have a couple of games that are really important for Arsenal. Aston Villa at the Emirates Stadium, and then of course Man United at the Old Trafford on Sunday. So it's a busy week, and of course it's a week that leads us to our first game in Europe in over a season plus, right? So it's a very, very important week for us, not off the transfer market, but it is still a very, very important, an important week for us in the transfer market. But he has said Edu is working to accomplish something very, very soon together with Mikel Arteta. Of course, they're working together, and he has told us at the moment, expect something unexpected. Now, when he says expect something unexpected, and he says keep an eye or keep your ears, keep your attention on what you'd call the surprise deals. When it comes to Arsenal, it might be the surprise deals as we enter deadline day. That means it might not be Pedro Neto. It might not be the likes of Mikhailo Mudryk. It might be a deal that none of us are really expecting. Now, that takes me back to a quote by Saka Tavoleri in July when he spoke about Yuri Tielemans and Amadou Onana. And he said there is a midfielder Arsenal want in that position. He's not Yuri Tielemans. He's not Amadou Onana. He's a name that they will keep quiet about, and they will get it done when the right time comes. And look, I mean, it has just come back in my head, and I'm like, okay, this is what Saka Tavaleri said almost 30 days ago. Actually, more than 30 days ago. Right now, Arsenal have not signed in any midfielder. Tielemans has always been available. Amadou Onana was available before joining Everton. And so those words have just come back to me, and I'm like, what if Arsenal are planning something very surprising? What if we see Arsenal end up signing some guy we do not know about? Because with Serge Milinkovic-Savic, we know he's going to be staying at Lazio, confirmed by his agent. I mean, we know players are really happy these days to run their deals out and, sign on big bonuses. So we know that. Lucas Paqueta has signed for West Ham. According to Lyon, they were expecting big clubs to make offers for Lucas Paqueta, but Jean-Michel Aulas has actually said we didn't have the big offers on the table. We didn't have the big clubs on in this one. In the end, we had to settle with West Ham. So Paqueta is not an option. Serge Milinkovic-Savic is not an option. Could it be Ruben Neves? Because, I mean, right from the start, if you remember when I was reporting from The Athletic, they had actually made it clear that our midfield options were Ruben Neves, who Bruno Lage says he's 99%, he will be staying at Wolverhampton Wanderers. We talked about Yuri Tielemans. We talked about Lucas Paqueta. We talked about, and a couple of other players. I think including Serge Milinkovic-Savic. I don't remember the others. So Fabrizio says there is a deal being smuggled under the radar by Edu and Mikel Arteta. So expect a done deal soon for Arsenal. We do not know currently which player it is, and I've just come to remember Saka Tavaleri's words. Beautiful journalist. And he was saying right now, that was in July, right now, Arsenal's priority for a midfielder is not Amadou Onana, and it is not Yuri Tielemans. Now, one thing I really understand about Saka Tavaleri is that he understands, he has a lot of information when it comes to players close to Belgium and Belgian players. So when he speaks about Tielemans and Amadou Onana, both of whom play for Belgium or represent Belgium or come from Belgium, then you understand. But let's wait for that optimism. Let us keep the optimism. Let us keep the hope as we enter the final hours of the transfer window. Like I said, everything that happens, I will keep you posted very, very much. Now, the rest for Wilfred Zaha is still very alive as we enter the dying hours of the transfer window. Now, Chelsea are seemingly favorites for this one. Now, first and foremost, I thought Chelsea wanted to sign Wilfred Zaha as probably as a result of the Aubameyang deal ricocheting in the opposite direction. If it doesn't happen for them, then they would sign Wilfred Zaha as a striker. But it wouldn't really make any sense because they have Kai Havertz. Signing Wilfred Zaha as a false nine, when you have Kai Havertz who plays better as a false nine, would actually not make any sense. And then it just came to my mind that they've lost Romelu Lukaku and they have also lost Timo Werner. And then if they're going to replace each of those players like for like, Zaha replaces Werner and Aubameyang replaces Romelu Lukaku. I've told you before, and I've spoken about this more, frankly, on the 90 More podcast. I am not really sure what Chelsea's ambitions and goals are this season. Do they qualify to be title contenders? They are not. Can they keep the third position safely, like they did last campaign? They cannot. Can they compete favorably for the top four? They have the minerals, they have the manager, they have the experience in that squad, but they don't convince me. So I'm thinking here through Thomas Tuchel's lens, he will want a striker in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But literally that doesn't mean that he won't need another goal-scoring forward in Wilfred Zaha. So I'm very, very optimistic that Chelsea will try to get both deals for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Wilfred Zaha done. Now, can Zaha come to Arsenal? I'm not really sure. But one thing we know with Wilfred Zaha, he's a very strong Arsenal fan. Forget the fact that he played for Man United. Forget the fact that we've met him against Crystal Palace in several London derbies. He's a big Arsenal fan. He wants to play for Arsenal. He loves the club, and it is his boyhood club. Boyhood, is it called a childhood dream that he, to play for Arsenal one day? At 29 years of age, he might see that dream come true. But there are a couple of things that will have to happen. One, the Pedro Neto deal has to fall through. First and foremost, Arsenal will first have to get convinced that the Pedro Neto deal is actually going to happen no more. If that happens, then they will definitely think about Wilfred Zaha. Then the other thing is Mikhailo Modric. We might, if we get overpriced or outpriced by Shakhtar, and then there's something with Marco Asensio, then I think Wilfred Zaha will be a player we think about. But currently, we are the two clubs racing against time and also for the signature of Wilfred Zaha. Crystal Palace have made themselves very clear. They're not interested in selling the player currently at the moment. And if anything happens, should anything happen, any club that is going to sign the player will have to part with a figure in excess of £35 million. Thinking about how well we've done our business this summer, 40 million for Gabriel Jesus, who is 25, 35 million for Alexander Zichenko, who is 25, 40 million for Fabio Vieira, who is 21, 22. I'm saying Wilfred Zaha for 35 million will not work. It will not work. That is when I will agree with Arsenal signing Jeremy Pino or Mikhailo Modric for in excess of 35, because they have a bigger ceiling, they have a bigger resale value, and I think they're young players, coachable, and they will definitely have a lot of time to develop and become the players we think they will become. Wilfred Zaha is a risk. He brings experience. He brings pedigree. He brings a lot of skill, a lot of talent, but he is a risk I'm not willing to take. For me, I'm looking at Zaha as an Anthony signing, because Anthony is 22. When he signs for 100 million euros and you sign Zaha for 35 million pounds at 29, by the time Anthony is exhausted, Zaha will be done long time ago. So for me, Zaha is not an option. Now, there is a story I've been trying to look at this morning from Sky Sports, quite an interesting one. It's about Leicester City, and they're trying to sign a midfielder from Schalke 04. The name is Amin Harit, Schalke 04, born in 1997, 25 years of age, coming in from Morocco. He's an attacking midfielder and also very happy to play as a central midfielder. So this is the story, guys. This is what I'm thinking. Leicester City will not keep Yuri Tielemans. And I'm very happy that Liverpool are thinking in the lens and are thinking in the perspective of Konrad Laimer. Because, look, I love Konrad Laimer. I think if Arsenal decided to sign Konrad Laimer, I'll be one of the happiest dudes on the internet, on YouTube. Because Konrad Laimer is a gem. He's an absolute gem of a midfielder. And the fact that Bayern have not signed him, I don't know how. So, if Liverpool are thinking in that lens, Man United, I don't know what they're thinking, but they're honestly not onto Yuri Tielemans. They're not after Yuri Tielemans. Leicester City do not benefit in any way, shape, or form by letting Yuri Tielemans live on a free. They don't. So it's a wise move for me, for them to go and sign Amin Harit from Schalke 04, 25 years of age, the same age bracket as Yuri Tielemans. He's going to cost them 10 million euros. Actually, he might cost them less than that because according to the transfer market website, his market value currently is I want to get this right, is 8 million euros. 8 million euros. That is his market value. So Leicester, with that negotiation, they can get him for 7.5. They can get him for 10 million euros. 7.5 to 10 million euros, around there. And if you sign a replacement of Yuri Tielemans for 8 million euros, and you're getting 20 million euros, 25 million euros, come on, Leicester, good business, let him go. He doesn't want to stay. He doesn't want to be there. I mean, it's ridiculous to keep a player who doesn't want to stay with you. And I understand the position of Leicester City. We've been there as Arsenal fans when Van Persie left, when Thierry Henry left, when Fabregas left, when Song Belong left. You don't want to let go of these players. You want them because they are the core of your team. They are a very important part of your side. But what do? They don't want to. They don't want to be there. You don't want to keep a player who is not 100% convinced about your project. Mikel has said that, and I'm really, really grateful that we are not begging players to stay, begging players to join us. I'm 100% okay with the fact of, persuasion is okay. Enticing players to join us, that is okay. But they must be 100% locked in, sold to the idea of playing for Arsenal Football Club before they join us. There is no double standards on that. It is only, and the only rule there. So Tielemans doesn't want to stay. They're looking at a main Harit as a replacement. As according to Sky, talks are ongoing between Leicester and Schalke 04. We pray as Arsenal fans that deal can get completed as soon as possible. It will give Leicester City another reason to let Yuri Tielemans go. Don't look. Make no mistake. This still doesn't mean that Leicester City will need to sell because they've spent. They've already earned a £75 million deal for Fofana. So they are rich. Currently, they have the moolah, right? They are the rich gang. They are whatever you want to call them. So at the moment, we are looking at Amin Harit as one of our hopes, one of our points of optimism that Yuri Tielemans will be left alone to leave Leicester City. Now, Arsenal, according to reports, we are preparing a deal for Mikhailo Modric. According to Romano yesterday, we asked for information. We are really interested in the player from Ukraine at Shakhtar Donetsk. Currently, there is nothing very, very interesting about the deal, apart from Fabrizio Romano saying that one of the clubs that to keep an eye on is Arsenal. Everton have already seen a 30 million euro deal turned down. How much do they want? I'm not really sure, but his market value, according to the transfer market website, is around 20 million euros. So the fact that they've turned down 30 million euros, it is quite amazing. I mean, it's like we are holding transfers in an amusement park. Anyway, so Mikhailo Modric, an offer is being prepared by Arsenal. We hope it will be sufficient enough because we are working against time. But there is also talk about another option in midfield apart from Yuri Tielemans. Now, I love this. I love the sound of this. One thing I hated about Arsenal in the past transfer windows is having a priority player, having a priority target, and then you don't get him, and then you frown. And you go, okay, we've not got him. It is the worst thing that has happened in our lives. We are done. We are done here. We will not sign anyone. I still remember a transfer window where we chased Benzema and Peter Cech. Benzema refused to join us, and we only signed Peter Cech. That is stupidity. That is utter stupidity. And we've actually rectified that slowly under Edu. We wanted Dusan Vlahovic. The guy says, I want to play for Juve. I want to stay in Italy. And Edu says, fine, I will go and bring in the Samba boy, Gabriel Jesus. And Jesus right now is one of the best strikers in the Premier League, one of the best strikers in the world currently. I mean, behind Lewandowski and Benzema, to be honest, and Kane, right? So I love the sound of Arsenal has options. I love the sound. I love how it sounds when we sit back in our chairs and say, well, we've not signed Lisandro Martinez. We are now signing Alexander Zichenko. And honestly, I have Alexander Zichenko in my FPL team. Right? I'll be revealing my FPL teams very soon when they start doing well. Currently, they're not really doing well, right? I only got good points in game week 2, but in game week 3 and game week 4, no, I'm not revealing my team. But look, the point here, lads, is you need to have options, because what you want is a player in that position. You don't want your Tielemans. You don't want Serge Milinkovic-Savic or Paqueta. You want a player in that position. It's the same thing we did with Martin Odegaard. £60 million for Maddison. Arsenal said, hell no, we are not paying that. There is an option there in Martin Odegaard. We will trigger the asking price. And we did that. It actually paid out very well. So with Yuri Tielemans, reports are that Arsenal will try to sign another midfielder should the deal fail to happen. Should the deal fail to come around. Now, there are a couple of names that I can think about at the moment, right? Right on my fingertips. There's so many players I can think about. And I'm like, if you want a central midfielder, go for Ruben Neves. If you want a central midfielder, go for Edson Alvarez. If you want a central midfielder, you can go for Okan Kokun at PSV. If you want a central midfielder, you can go for I don't know if Fabian Ruiz has gone to PSG. I don't know. That deal was closed. I don't know if he has gone to PSG yet. But if he has not yet, you can go for Fabian Ruiz, one of the players linked with Arsenal before in the market. And a couple of other players, by the way. I've looked at Mikel Oyarzabal. Of course, Mikel Oyarzabal loves to play on the wings. But if I played him as a central midfield, high up the pitch, I think Mikel Oyarzabal would be a good player for me. I would definitely take him. I mean, some people call him Mikel Oyarzabal, but he's Spanish, and I think it's Mikel Oyarzabal. So, look, going for another midfielder when the Yuri Tielemans deal fails is ambitious, is well planned, is well managed transfer business by Arsenal, and I'm really in support of that. If the financial obligations for the Yuri Tielemans deal are wayward, I mean, if it's going to cost us a king's jail, it's okay. It's okay. Walk away. No one is going to... I mean, it's not shameful to walk away from a deal that you believe is not worth it. It's not shameful. I mean, we don't want to be in that position like Man United. Spend 90 million on Pogba. Spend 90 million on Lukaku. Spend 90 million on Sanchez. Spend 90 million on Anthony, because you have one player in mind. You need to have options. It's a big market. I've talked about how Sam Aouar, day in, day out. Get that guy. For fuck's sake. Get that guy. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. He's class. Go for House Sam Aouar. No one is going to troll Arsenal for getting their long-term target. But House Sam Aouar to Nottingham Forest, House Sam Aouar to Real Betis. Come on, guys. For fuck's sake. I don't want to see that happen. Go for House Sam Aouar. As simple as that. We know he has the qualities. But I think it's kind of Arsenal being proud there. And we're like, we wanted to do the deal. The deal didn't happen. And now we don't want to stoop so low. It's okay. Go back. Just go back. Just get the deal done. As long as you get the deal done, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Just get the deal done. And finally, Marco Asensio and George Mendes are discussing their next move. Arsenal is one of the clubs that are priorities to sign Marco Asensio. George Mendes, according to reports, George Mendes will sell a player to Arsenal before the window closes. Now, there are not so many of George Mendes' agents that we are linked with. Neto, Asensio, full stop, and Neves, right? But I think Neto and Asensio are the two to keep your eyes on. My opinion is I like George Mendes, honestly. I like George Mendes. And I know many of you don't understand this, how this agency things work, but when you have a certain agent working closely with your team, at times it could be beneficial. At times it could be disastrous. For example, Judge Mendes has really worked very closely with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and you can see the enormous talent going in there, the Portuguese talent going in there. Neto, Jota, the likes of Raul Jimenez, the likes of Matias Nunes, the likes of Gonzalo Guedes, and a couple of others, right? Ruben Neves, Moutinho, and a couple of others. So you literally have a Portuguese gang at Wolves, right? There was a time when Arsenal worked very close with Kia Jorapchin, and I think that was a time when things didn't go well in our transfer business, because Kia Jorapchin, of course, he works very, very closely with the Brazilian market. He's a very scandalous man. He's a very, very scandalous man. Can you imagine? He tailored a deal for Arsenal for Willian at 33, and we gave him 2 years. Kia Jorapchin. Those are the kind of agents you need to walk away from. And I remember during his time at Arsenal, Arsene Wenger worked so hard to make sure that these agents, Kia Jorapchin and Mino Raiola, do not have a direct influence on who comes in at the club and who leaves, because it could be disastrous. Follow me on Instagram, Cossy_19, Twitter, Cossy Arsenal, TikTok, Cossy11, YouTube, 90 more, Cossy Talks Football, and Cossy's Arsenal Podcast. And of course, the transfer show continues. The transfer news continues. Breaking news, breaking stories are continuing until Thursday, 11 p.m. See you very, very soon.